Guys, when you think about it a little bit, it's it's kind of amazing. Um, it's kind of amazing when you think about it. Um, I mean, well, if you've watched the series for so long, then you know the strong connection that Twilight and Spike have with each other. They're basically like brother and sister, mother, son, guardian, foster child, whatever you want to call it. But mostly I look at them as like family, basically siblings, if you will. Um, and when I look at the best gift ever, and I look at I look at the ending, and like I said, I look at the ending, and how Spike starts that song that he dedicates to Rarity, basically what many consider the first verse of it, and then how Twilight takes over afterwards for the second verse. You can definitely tell that the writers, especially with this past season, were, especially when you have an episode like Father Knows Beast, you have the moments in Meltdown, stuff like that. And you have the moments throughout the series, like the moments here and there, the moments they had in the finale, season 8 finale, with Spike realizing that for the time that they might be trapped in Tartarus temporarily or permanently, with Turek and all the other creatures, and how Twilight comforted him there. So I can definitely tell that this season, probably more so than anything, when I talked about it being like a true test of the friendship of the main seven, that being the main six and Starlight and Spike, basically main seven, main eight, it obviously showed. That was one of the themes here, was the true testing of friendship, as well as accepting those for who they are and what they are, that being diversity. But when I look at Spike and Twilight's connection with each other, I see two individuals, two characters here that are willingly going to accept any kind of changes that happen to them, no matter what. Whether it's physical, like with Spike getting his wings, Twilight getting hers seasons before, or even personal. I think honestly that it's. I'm sorry if I look this way. I'm sorry about that, but I think it's. I think it's very, very telling at the fact that when you take a look at how, like I said, the song starts and who starts it, and then who's takes over. It really tells you that the creators really wanted to buckle down and focus on the relationship as family and the closeness. Which is why when you look at Father Knows Beast and the moment that they had there between Twilight and Spike, when Spike said what he did out of anger and then apologized for it. Twilight was heartbroken, but she was kind of willing to accept it a bit. That is, of course, until, the truth came out about who Sludge really was. And, like I said, Spike came in and apologized for his actions and didn't mean to say what he did, and just said he would say it out of anger. And Twilight was quick to accept the apology. Now, I know some people may not agree with that, say, well, you shouldn't be quick about what he did, about what he said. Maybe you should have him earn it. Maybe you should do it another way. Maybe have him earn that apology. Maybe have him earn saying he's sorry in that apology towards you. But that's not how it works. And in real life, that's not how. In real life, that's how a lot of families kind of are. You can screw up, and then after you come to the realization that you made a screw up, and that the person that was just trying to help you was right, that person will at most times willingly accept your apology. Because they understand, hey, you were just angry. And that's how Spike was. Twilight understood, you're just angry because pretty much you have possibly a real family now, and you're just upset at the fact you think I'm trying to step in the way of that. And again, like I said, you could, agree and disagree all you want on how that should have been handled. Like, some people feel that when Spike apologized, that maybe Twilight shouldn't have been quick to accept it. A lot of people feel that Twilight should have gave him the silent treatment, But again, that's not how their dynamics, it's not how their relationship is built upon. Their relationship is built on being there for each other. Heck, Spike has basically been there for Twilight a lot. There's been moments throughout the series that, for good or bad, he's been there for her. For example, in Once Upon a Zeppelin, he willingly said, Twilight, go, do your thing, spend time with your family, I'll take care of stuff here. And that was cool. That was very generous of Spike. Obviously learned a lot from Rarity. When I look at Spike and Twilight's relationship with each other as family, I look at it not just as a mother-son deal. I look at it more as siblings looking out for each other and wanting only the best for each other, and that are willing to work off each other, play off each other. Like I said earlier, they're the kinds that have that. They're the two that have that kind of relationship to where they'll accept any kind of changes that may happen, whether they feel the change is good or it's a risk. They'll be willing to accept it. Like I said, when Spike sang the first verse of the song to Rarity, and then after she gave him that kiss on the cheek, eek, you see how Twilight looks down at that. It's like, doesn't look down, but kind of looks at that, reacts to that in a very sweetly way, with a very sweetly expression. And some might say, well, it looked like a motherly expression. No, I don't think it was motherly. I think it was a very sistery kind of exception that, hey, if this is a change that's going to be coming, I'm willing to accept it. In other words, pretty much, I think if the writers wanted to go down the route of parity being an official item, not just semi-official and semi-canon, but all the way official and canon, that I think they would make it to where Twilight would be very accepting of it. She'd be very willing to accept it and all that. She'd be willing to, be cool with it, because pretty much she'd be getting a member of her friends as basically like her family now. Which, I kind of like that idea. That, if, like I said, if they decide to go the route, if they go that route in season 9, kind of follow up on this from Best Gift Ever, that I think Twilight would be willing to be like, hey, if something happens between you and Rarity Spike that goes to that next level, I'll be willing to accept it. Overall, to me, the dynamic works very well. Both are very supportive of each other. You may not agree with how Twilight sometimes uses Spike to do certain things, like, how she used him for bait on the Winterzilla investigative devil. You may not agree with that, but she was doing what she had to do. And even Spike questioned, hey, is this the best thing we come up with? Because you can even tell in Twilight's eyes, like, yeah, like, she knew what Spike was saying was legit. Like, yeah, this isn't the best idea, but it's going to have to do for now. And then the way she looked at him after Fluttershy was able to talk the Winter Chiller down and kind of get it to calm down. You saw Twilight looked at Spike after that aftermath, like she was in a very sweetly way, like she was happy. She was happy he was safe. So again, when you look at the fact that if there's anything, what I'm saying is if you wanted to look at something, especially on Thanksgiving, of anything that these characters should be thankful for besides friendship, I think from a Thanksgiving standpoint, if they ever decided to do an episode to where, hey, let's do our interpretation of Thanksgiving, which kind of Heartwarming is. Heartwarming's kind of that way. But if they wanted to do something completely different, that I think one of the things they should do, one of the stories, or one of the story plots or arcs in that episode or special, should be focused on Twilight and Spike being thankful for having each other as family. I mean, look at it this way. Spike's connection as family with Twilight goes even further than that. He has a strong connection not just with her, but he has somewhat a strong connection, if not a definite strong connection with Cadence. And Cadence is Twilight's sister-in-law. And yeah, Cadence sometimes will have to, talk to Spike, kind of put him in his place, like in Princess Spike, kind of make him realize, hey, you're making some big mistakes here, maybe you need to, stop acting this way. But overall, besides that, Cadence is like, I look at it this way. If Twilight wasn't able to be there, and someone needed to fill her shoes besides, let's say, Starlight, Cadence would be able to do that. Because Cadence would be able to do that along with Spike. Like if Spike needed to work off somebody besides Twilight or Starlight, it would be Cadence. And I think that'd be a great dynamic. Through Twilight, Spike's got a close connection with Cadence. And even through Twilight, he's got a close connection with Starlight, which a lot of people like to interpret as something more, but that would be up to the show staff if they wanted to do that. But yeah, this connection they have with each other is, really, is to me probably one of the strongest bonds in the show, because, strongest bonds alongside, Starlight, Twilight, and the bond between the main 7, main 8, and even Spike Rarity. But again, and even Applejack Spike, if you want to look at it that way too. But anyway, getting back on point, just by themselves together, they'll probably have one of the strongest, if not the strongest bond in the series, if not one of them. Because you take a look, like I said, through his connection, his bondness with Twilight, Spike is able to connect and work well off of and play off of, if you will, characters like a Starlight and a Cadence. Same with Twilight. She's able to play through her connection with Spike, she's able to work alongside and work off of and play off of characters like Ember, characters like Smolder, Thorax, if you will. So, she's able to do all that. And it's kind of cool that you see how strong that bond is, that it expands to these other connections. Which, again, is like I said, if they ever wanted to do a story to where Spike and Rarity become not just semi but fully canon and official, that Twilight's the kind that would be willing to accept, hey, Rarity's going to probably be part of my family down the line, and I think she'd be cool with that. So, but yeah, when I look at characters that are thankful for having each other and being around each other, and just being there for each other, I think a lot of us definitely have to start with Spike and Twilight right at the top. So, but yeah, again, you take a look at that connection, if you will, between them. I mean, heck, both of them have a strong connection with Celestia, and that plays off well in the series as well as in, let's say, the comics. It works off very well with that. I mean, you take a look at which one of the comics I have here. Well, it's not that one. Here it is. You take a look at this issue right here, and it plays off that connection that Spike has with Twilight and thus with Celestia. So it's kind of cool that you see that connection even go as far as, or go as strong. What I'm trying to say is it's nice to see that connection go, go expand as far as it has, even to the point that when you think about it, that connection really, that bond between Twilight and Spike really started because of Celestia, which again, when you read that issue with Celestia and Spike working together, kind of tells you that, again, just like with Cadence and Starlight, Spike, if someone like Celestia had to step in for Twilight because either something came up or she was sick or something like that, and Spike needed someone to work off of, Celestia would be a perfect choice right there too, along with someone like a Cadence and a Starlight. So, I mean, heck, if you had Sunset come back, probably the same thing. So, but yeah, again, when you take a look at a bond between two characters that should be thankful and that are thankful for being there for each other, and I think we as fans are thankful for seeing be together, be there for each other as family through and through, and mostly, in my opinion, as siblings. It's definitely Spike and Twilight, and like I said, that bond, that connection's right at the top there, as far as character relationships in the series goes. So really, that's all I'm going to say on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from you. And happy Thanksgiving, and take care.